Right, so today's drum video is going to be about my bass drums, because I've got something going on with my bass drums that I'm quite pleased with in terms of sound. It's taken me years to get there, changing heads, changing tunings, all manner of little things that have made things better each time, and different as well, because sometimes you have to learn to play differently with something like a ported head. The actual response of the bass drum is very quick. The pedal does what you expect it to do. If you then put a non-ported head on the front, you'll find that it feels different. And so I'm going to explain what I've done with my bass drums. Basically, this is a 20 and a 22 Yamaha Beach Custom. The hoops are not the original. I don't care about things like that. I've got them up in the loft. I just wanted to dress them the same as my toms, with their wooden hoops top and bottom, which were a similar sort of look to this. But here you can see I've got 3 bass drums. That one at the back there is a 26 by 18. They've all got full resonant heads. I decided to try it. I've been using ported heads for years, I might add kick port for as long as they've been around, on the 20 and the 22. The 20 I always found disappointing. It had a Super Kick 2 on it. Originally it had the Yamaha standard sort of batter head, and I was kind of disappointed with it. It never seemed to really have much sound. And then I changed to a Power Stroke 3, and it just took off. It really made something out of the drum. And then more recently, probably the last year, I've been using it with a full reso, and it's really come to life. And that reso there has actually got holes in. You can see the little tiny holes there. You can see my reflection as well. But there, that's got little tiny holes that allows a bit of air out, and it feels slightly different to, say, this one, which doesn't let much air out. I haven't blocked the holes on the top. And there we've got a Power Stroke 3. This one, you can see in the bottom there, has a load of lead. There's about 4 kilos of lead there, that's folded up, wrapped in a towel, and then I've got longer bolts for the lugs, and passed through those longer bolts and secured it in position. So now the bass drum weighs 4 kilos more. It's changed the sound of it amazingly. It's got so much more low end that it almost doesn't sound like it's anywhere near like the original bass drum that it used to be. I've also got a towel rolled up and taped to the head. Looks like the tape on this side might need adjusting at some point soon. This is a Power Stroke 3. The head on the front is a Power Stroke 3, but it's also a fibre screen Power Stroke 3. I've got a bit of hoop protector there, I've got a trigger there, that's been there for about 20 years, since I got the drum. And here is my cowbell post. That's an LP one. It's really good. I'd say that's the best cowbell post you could possibly get, ever, in my opinion. This one, the Tama one, that's on the 20-inch kick, that comes loose gradually, and it will flip and drop down. And when I'm stowing them, I'm going to put them in their cases, they fold down like that, and this one folds down like so, like that. And yes, I do get a little bit of damage here, but it doesn't matter. I'm not that mad about it. I can always get that re-chromed. And so anyway, I've got these slam pads there. They're as thin as possible. I use the thinnest ones available on the market, so that they protect the head, but they don't really do too much to the sound. They do make it a little bit more impactful, but they don't really do too much else. So anyway, both of those front heads have got control rings, so they do have that ring around the outside which takes off the high overtone. We're not going to be able to tell with the microphones that I've got on the camera, but basically that's tuned about middling. This one tuned a little bit higher. It's just for the sounds that I'm going for. and what seems to work for these drums. I play the 22 in a rock setting, I play the 20 in pop, and all of them I trigger with. Even the 26 over the back there, I trigger with that as well, because I want the sound to get across those Marshall amplifiers that all my guitarists are prone to using. Everybody likes to be nice and loud. Why should I be just using the kick drum that I've got? Yeah, I could use a microphone, but it takes more time to set up. You end up with all sorts of bleed problems. So I just trigger. It works a treat. It works on every stroke that I play. I can have it so that it's loud all the time, or I can have it so that it plays dynamically. So as I play louder and softer, it will track that loud to soft dynamic. You'll also notice that the front of my bass drums are lifted. They're quite high. That's because that's how the pedal sits for me to be able to feel that it's natural and nice for me. I never have a bass drum down on the floor. I have it pointing up in the air slightly, and that's so that those beaters will hit at the point where I feel comfortable, so that I'm not having to dig too far into the pedal to get it to hit the beater. This one over here, 26 by 18. This one, the front head on this is actually not a Power Stroke 3, it's just an ordinary fibre skin, but it looks beautiful, so that's why I got it. But I found that that higher tuning works really well to get this drum to project and fill a room. I do still want the drums to sound amazing, even if I am triggering. This one's got a pillow in it. That is literally just to break the sound up. It's not there to actually deaden the head, because it's not touching the head. And the actual pillow is there to kill some of the reflection in the drum itself, so that it's not sort of having too much high pingy sort of sound waves rattling about. So that's what I do. And again, that bass drum there does have quite a lot of height at the front. I've had a sound engineer put a mic on it and he thought it was fantastic, but he did say that he also had to control it quite a lot because of the factor that it was a full head, it wasn't ported. I did use it ported, the sound engineer seemed to like it, he didn't give me too much comment. One time that I was using a ported head at a gig, and the sound engineer was about to put a microphone on it, I removed my kick port, which is the bass reflex cone that you can put into these front heads. I was removing it before he actually got to my drums, and he saw me removing it as he was putting mics on cabinets on the stage, and he said, "That's good, I'm glad you know about that." And I said, "Yeah, because it gives you a funny frequency to deal with on microphones, doesn't it?" And he said, "Yes, it does. It's much better without it for us." So always be prepared if you're using something like a kick port. A sound engineer might say to you, "Can we lose the kick port?" If somebody says to you, "We need to cut a head in the that we need to cut a hole in the front head," consign them to the bin of like stupidity, because we do not need to cut a hole in the front of our bass drums. If you want a hole, fine, but if somebody decides that they want to do it with a Stanley knife, just kick their ass, because they don't deserve to be on the same stage as you. I have my drums to sound as I like them. You have your drums to sound as you like them. I haven't got the perfect system, and I have found that each drum is very different. The tuning that works for this drum does not work for these drums, and at the same time the tuning for the 22 doesn't work for the same sort of, it doesn't work the same for the 20. It just isn't the same drum. Every piece of wood to me appears to be different. I find that there's uniformity amongst my toms, but there isn't so much uniformity in certainly bass drums, and so I'm kind of up for experimenting and trying stuff out. But that piece of lead in the bottom of that 22, that's really made a difference to the way that kick drum sounds. It now sounds absolutely thunderously meaty. The bottom end is fantastic. I have thought about doing it with the others, but I thought, you know, I could do with some bass drums that I could actually lift. because this one is much heavier. You can also see a little wire there sticking out of here. That's for the lighting system, so that when I'm out I can plug in a little power pack and control unit, and those little white strips in there light up and my bass drum lights up. It works better on the 22 at the moment because of the fact that it has a white or lighter coloured head. I did have a lighter coloured head on the 22, on the 20, but now I've got a black head, so it doesn't show up so well. But I might go back to a white head, might not. So there we go, that's my kick drums. Cheers.